Welcome to my YouTube channel Bachelor and Master English. Are you new to this channel? If so, please subscribe it. I'm talking about how can master your English. And this is very genuine question that many people who are learning English they have not yet mastered their English. They have not got fully confident, they have not got fully competent, and they have not got fully performing well. So in such context, how can you master English is a very question uh, to those people who are using English like native speakers, who are speaking English like native speakers, and who are performing well like native speakers, and other people are trying to learn in such a way, but they have not got the ways, they have not got their mastery at. So in such context, how can you master English is the question that everyone can ask, everyone can inquire, everyone can anxiously ask other people. So it's not easy to master English, but there are some ways that I will be talking about in this discussion here. So let us talk about that how English is gaining popularity these days, and later we talk about what are the causes behind poor English performance, and at last I will be talking about the ways of mastering English. So first of all, English is gaining popularity day by day. English is the international language. It is the most widely spoken language in the world. It is becoming a second language for many individuals. However, mastering English is far from simple. While most countries these days have the students study English as a second language in schools, and this often only allows for a basic grasp of the language. This often only allows for a basic grasp of the language. Nevertheless, becoming proficient requires a lot of time and practice in English environment. You need to have such environment where you can have chance to speak English with native speakers. You get those people who have native tone to talk with, and you get such text and videos or other materials that you are getting first hand English. This is not the second hand English that is spoken by a non-native speaker, especially with first or native speakers, and you are speaking English, and you are getting exposure to speaking English in such environment. Problems of learning English as a second language. It has been generally well known that most people face some problems in learning English as a second or foreign language in non-English speaking countries. Many researches have been carried out regarding the impact on why students are poor in English performance. Based on the findings of the researches, main causes have been included, namely, first, the majority students believe that the majority students confess that their teachers are not well trained. For instance, tongue when teaching English, they cannot perform well to attract the interest of the student. Secondly, students lack of English foundation background. They lack linguistic and literary competence to each. Those students lack good linguistic background, and they lack good literary background, and when they have no good background, they have no competence, and if they have no competence, they are unlikely to have good performance. Thirdly, students lack of confidence to use English because they are afraid of mistakes and shy feeling. When you are speaking English and you feel hesitation, you feel shy because your English is not good. you are likely to make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you do not have a smiling face, and you feel shy, and this causes hindrance for your further learning. That's why this lack of confidence, that lack of linguistic confidence of English uh, is another cause behind poor performance. The teachers lack communicative competence of teaching English. Their competence is poor and their performance is also poor, and because they are not well trained with such environment. Fourthly, the curriculum is inappropriate for helping students to improve their English proficiency. Curriculum designers, these people have not paid well attention while preparing the curriculum, while designing the curriculum, and poor curriculum is the root of all poor performance. Last but not least, English language is difficult to learn since students are not well motivated, encouraged, and gained learning strategy. Furthermore, students do not practice speaking English with English native speakers, and a class environment is crowded and noisy that it is not fulfilled with teaching pedagogy. Different notions regarding difficulties of English language is another cause behind poor performance. Lack of effort in teaching English. Teachers do not make well effort, and they just want teaching job as just temporary waiting station where they can wait for another opportunity, and that's the cause. A lack of motivation in learning English. Students are not motivated because there is no charm. Why should they learn English? There are no what motivating factors, internal motivation and external motivation. What factors of internal motivation and external motivation can engage students to learn English? Students, as I already mentioned, they do not have confidence and they feel shy, and that is also causing their poor performance. So there should be equilibrium between competence and performance. Teachers should be competent not only linguistically but also communicatively, and students should be motivated and they should be taught in such environment. Teachers are the key motivators. Teachers are the key persons, and those teachers can motivate students internally and externally, and with their different teaching technologies, teaching devices, teaching methods, and the teachers can motivate students and they can engage learners to learn English well. So most important factor is that students should not feel shy while learning English. The factors that impact the EFL learners, English as foreign language learners, to have poor performance in English language learnings. English is regarded as difficult subject to learn. Learners' learning depends on the English teachers as authorities. There is a lack of support to use English in the home environment and the community. Learners have insufficient or lacking of exposure to the language as there is a limited opportunity to use English outside the classrooms. Students have a limitation of vocabulary proficiency as well as English reading materials are not always available. Learners have an unwillingness and lack of motivation to learn English as they do not see the immediate need to use the language. Lack of motivation for learning or negative attitude towards the target language. So these causes behind poor English are there, and here are the steps that can be made in order to improve and facilitate the learners and teachers both, so that they do have good competence, and that leads to excellent or better performance. First point is that students should be motivated to acquire a confidence whenever they make mistakes in language classrooms. Number two, Parents should try to encourage their children to actively involve in learning the English language at home and schools. Number 3. English teachers should equip well-training courses at the faculty of English education, which prepares the further teachers of English. And that's number 4. Students should be encouraged to practice English language with native speakers in both inside and outside classrooms. Number 5. The curriculum designers should think about the learner's need in English learning when they plan to design curriculum. Number 6. More research needs to continue to determine the pedagogical practices of learning and teaching in non-native English teaching countries, and at the same time to evaluate and inspect the English teachers' qualification and knowledge before allowing them to teach. To these 6 points, there is a question we have: how can you master English? This is the topic of our today's video and discussion here. We can master English by thoroughly assimilating the language habits of people who speak it as their mother tongue. After years of struggling with English at school and even at university, many students fall far short of mastery. The remedy is not to be found in structural drills, which are often without context and real meaning, though they are some way useful, and they are for behavioristic practice, for practicing language structures. And what is usually needed is plenty of practice in listening or hearing, reading, speaking and writing authentic, correct and connected English on subjects of interest to an intelligent mind. So that's important thing. We need to focus on listening, reading, speaking and writing. We need to focus on receptive skills as well as productive skills. Listening and reading, these two skills are receptive skills, and if these skills are not engaged, if these skills are not fully used for learning, and performance on the part of the learner is poor. Speaking or writing, and when you have no listening and reading, when you have no hearing and reading, you are unlikely to speak and write well. So for good or for excellent learning of English, excellent type of hearing and reading is required, then we are sure we can get excellent set of speaking and writing from the part of the learner. Here are some tips for mastering your English. First is focused on reading and writing. The best way to get on top of the English language is to read regularly. That involves curling up with a good novel, grabbing a reputable daily newspaper or reading magazines. So you can always engage with such novels and such newspapers and magazines which can help you learn English, first class English. As long as you are regularly uploading and digesting new words of language, uploading and digesting new structures and words and language, your English is bound to improve. In addition to reading, try doing some writing of your own, which can be published in blog, in newspaper articles or in magazine articles, in the form of books or in the form of any piece of publication that come into the hands of the readers. Even if no one reads your work, this allows you to experiment with your diction and improve your vocabulary and syntax. And your articles, your writings are subject to evaluation and subject to review Then there are a number of critics who come across, and there will be academic discussion, there will be public discussion, there will be classroom discussion on your writings, on your books. Then they will write criticisms, and you will listen to them, you will read to them, and you are sure to improve. And your quality English is your English quality, your performance is counted then. Number two is take part in conversation. This particularly applies to those who speak English as a second language. While you may have mastered the theoretical side of learning English, you must have built linguistic competence. The fact is, all types of English have their own variations, rules, and accents that only emerge when being spoken. That's familiar with communicative competence. By engaging in conversation with English speakers at every opportunity, you will begin to recognize these rules, and you will also be able to put your own language into practice. Then your English will be good, and you feel confident yourself that you are gaining good English, and you are learning good English, and your tone will sound like native and not like just a learner of the second language. Play word games. One of the most fun ways to master the English language is to participate in word games. The best example of this is crossword puzzle. Try completing the ones supplied in the daily newspaper, or try a few more online crossword games. Crosswords help improve English language comprehension, critical thinking skills, and overall vocabulary of the language. Another good word game to practice is in Scrabble these days, which is getting more popular among the learners of English. Young learners, they prefer Scrabble. Adult learners, they have to focus on crossword puzzles together with Scrabble games. There are websites where you can play against people all around the world, and social networking websites like Facebook also has its own Scrabble application, which is very popular among the learners, building their vocabulary, good vocabulary. Additionally, if you have iPhone, try adding Words with Friends app. It is similar to Scrabble and allows you to improve your English while socializing with your pals. Next point is go or join English school. Studying English is a surefire way of improving your English skills. Whether it's participating in a general course aimed at improving your overall English, or more targeted courses such as those aimed at preparing for an academic purposes. Attending English school or joining English online course allows you to learn the language in a safe and friendly environment alongside other individuals who are also looking to improve their language and literacy. They are looking to improve their linguistic competence. They are looking to improve literary competence, which will enable them for good communicative competence, and use references. So as a learner, you should not feel shy. You should not feel hesitate to install an offline dictionary or thesaurus on your smartphone or iPhone. At the same time, you can carry small book or thesaurus, which will help you. This book will allow you to look up the meaning of any word you are unsure about, while a thesaurus will help you find strong alternatives to words if you feel your language is getting a little repetitive. Additionally, there are many dictionaries and thesaurus online. So if you have access to the internet, perhaps via your smartphone or iPhone, go ahead and look up that word. word you are a little unsure about. So I think with this discussion you got the points regarding how you can master your English. These tips must be useful for you to mastering English, and I think this video will be beneficial for you to improve your quality English.